Ahoy there, today on the Red Sea, gunshot wound survivors of Reddit. What does it feel like to be shot? Used to live in a really malarkey part of Chicago. One night coming home from work I got mugged. Was not my first time. Guy asked for my wallet and phone, gave it up without hesitation. Pointed his gun at me and pulled the trigger, shot me in the chest. Blacked out immediately and had some sharp pains when I woke up in the hospital. Caught the guy a few months later when after he shot and killed an old man, house head broken into. I got shot in the face by a thug attempting to rob me in 2008. I did not even realize that I had been shot through the face because the only real pain I felt was from the exit wound behind my ear. It was an excruciating burning sensation. But what I remember most was the horrifying feeling of the hot blood pouring out of my mouth and down my back. I absolutely thought I was going to die, but never actually lost consciousness until I went into surgery at the hospital. Can you tell the whole story, like the situation, where exactly you were shot, and any complications you have today? Sure. My son, 7 at the time, and I were coming home late from visiting family. I let him out at our front door so he could go inside to use the bathroom and was about to drive around back to park the car when I noticed an old junker car idling in the street at the entrance to our driveway. I knew something was not right. Parked the car and ran to catch up with my son at the front door. As I got there, a man with a gun pointed at us came up from the side of our house. He told me to show me the money, but I was speechless. My son was trying frantically to open the front door and my husband inside heard the commotion and came to the door. As he saw what was happening, he pushed open our heavy iron door into the guy, knocking him backward. The guy shot, we believe at my husband, hitting me in the face as he ran off. Luckily our neighbor had already called the cops and they arrived quickly. Lots of blood loss and a long recovery, but no residual physical damage really. The scar on my nose is hardly noticeable and the scar behind my ear stays covered by my hair most of the time, so I do not really think about it. Also, I was pregnant at the time all of this happened, and my son was born a few months later perfectly healthy. Pretty crazy malarkey. I got shot in the side by a negligent discharge at the range. It was a complete accident. The guy even came to the hospital and paid all the fees. Anyways, the bullet entered my left side and exited about 3 inches to the right, so it was not deep. Just hit tissue. It stung for a bit, then adrenaline kicked in and I rushed for the quick clot I keep in my center console. It made the stinging worse, but was able to stop the bleeding while waiting for the EMTs. Edit. Some people are asking why quick clot. It's bad. For how much I was bleeding for not hitting a blood vessel and being in the situation, it was my go-to. I know that it's a last resort, but I'm sure if you had it, you would use it too if you were shot. This is one of my fears at the range. I know what I'm doing, but I never trust the guy in the booth next to me. Was it someone you knew? Or how did this play out with police involvement? In my home state, the shooter would have been arrested, lost his permit to carry, and it would be expect 100% for me to sue the hell out of him. No police involvement. Told the doctors it was an accident. Usually for gunshots they call the police if it was a legitimate shooting as a crime. And he did not have a carry permit, he just shot as a fun thing to do with his son. Stray round from a nearby drive-by shooting hit me to the left of my navel while I was changing a light bulb. Felt like someone poked me really hard. Then it burned like all hell. Walked to the bathroom and looked at it in the mirror. Being a firearm enthusiast and a nurse, I immediately knew what it was and called 911. It didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. That was until I bent over to get the first aid kit from under my sink. The pain was a stabbing, burning pain. And I guess I tore something because blood started pouring out. Managed to stop the bleeding and waited for the paramedics. A friend of mine was in Vietnam and served as a medic. He was in one of the largest battles of the war when he got shot. Somewhere in the jungle, and there were several hundred combatants involved. He was rushing all over the place in between the trees trying to bandage guys up and handing out morphine. As he was tending to one guy, a Viet Cong fighter popped up, literally right in front of him, and shot him in the forehead. He said he did not even feel it happen. He grabbed the gun of the soldier he was helping and shot the Viet Cong guy in the chest, killing him. I'm guessing the Viet Cong guy was a little slow to fire again. Most people would be a little shocked to see a guy with a quarter of his skull blown away still moving. He said a few seconds later, after the massive adrenaline rush began to wear off, his head felt like it was on fire. Then he passed out from the pain, blood loss, and the fact his brain was exposed to air. Remarkably, he suffered little permanent brain damage and today he has a completely badass scar and war story to boot. I got shot in the leg while working once. I was a bounty hunter at the time. and to be quite honest I did not feel it initially. Aside from unnatural pressure, I did not even know it'd been hit. After my adrenaline died down, it was a burning, throbbing pain. I did not enjoy it, but it was not going to kill me. Getting it removed was not that bad either. Morphine is a hell of a drug. Now being stabbed ... Being stabbed is the single most painful experience I have ever had. Not fun. I was shot 2 times in the back and once in the arm in Afghanistan. I was only conscious for about 7 minutes if that. I felt pain pretty much the entire time I was awake. But as the minutes passed it was starting to go away and I kept falling asleep or passing out. Just kept putting my head down and closing my eyes because it felt so good. It is really hard to describe the pain. I felt frozen on the ground and cold, not move or breathe well at all. It felt like my guts had been ripped apart and pulled out of my body. I was thinking for sure I was going to die ... The pain, the blood and the screaming around me. I was also sure the guy was going to finish me off and walk up to me and shoot me in the head. Later I found out he did actually walk over me but was distracted by others shooting at him. Here is basically what my mind was going though. Minute 1, 2. Holy malarkey, I have been shot. I've been ducking shot. Help me, I don't want to die. I was trying to scream. Minute 2, 4. Please, if there is a God, let me be accepted into heaven. I did not want to just die ... To become nothing and go into blackness as I was seeing. It really scared me into wanting there to be an afterlife. Minute 4, 6. I just want to go to sleep and die. I have accepted my death. My family, my friends, I love them so much. Minute 4, 6 was happening while I was going in and out of consciousness. My squad leader was slapping my face trying to keep me up. He is also the one that mainly took down the gunman. They then picked me up and ran with me somewhere, and my last memory was hearing a rotor of a Black Hawk. Next thing I know I woke up in Walter Reed a week later confused as malarkey thinking I was captured. Yes, I'm in the US Army and was shot by an Afghan National Army soldier on the fob we share with them. I lost a very good friend that day too who I watched get shot right in front of my eyes before I then got shot myself. There are a few articles of the incident if anyone cares to read. PM me because it has my name and a few others in it. To sum it up, got shot. It hurt like a ditch and I thought I was dead for sure. Somehow lived to tell the story. It's very disorganized because when I talk about it, I remember everything at once. I have been shot on 3 separate occasions and all 3 felt different. The first time, I was shot in the back of the arm with a small caliber weapon .25 ACP. When I was a teenager, it burned like holy hell, but more so, the psychological shock made me become weak and lose all coordination. The second time was a shotgun blast to the small of my back, butt, and thighs with a mixture of birdshot and rock salt from a decent distance away. I did not notice at first. It was like a big push. The problem is that birdshot and rock salt are both too small of a particulate to be removed. You have to wait until the salt dissolves and the birdshot has to work its own way out of your flesh, like little pimples that spit metal when you pop them. That sucked. The last time was a .45 to the face. I only caught the jacket and some other shrapnel, but holy hell did it do a number on my mouth. I still have a hard time saying F's or P's correctly anymore because of the damage and the shrapnel left behind in my lower lip. That one felt like being punched in the face by a big, fat bouncer. All in all, I think being stabbed hurts worse. I'd rather be shot if I had the choice. Got shot. First thought, did that hit me? Doesn't feel like it. Try to move. Holy duck, it hit. Does it hurt? Well, blood is gushing out. I was very confused. Oddly didn't hurt at all until the next day. The doctor gave me plenty of pain meds to help me sleep, so when I jumped out of bed I was given a harsh reminder that I was very much injured. Okay, so here's the story. Some guys busted into my family's home one time. Everyone was upstairs asleep except me, who was stuck down in the cellar. They snuck around the house looking for valuables, and unfortunately for me, they decided to search from the bottom to the top of the house. So when I hear their footsteps thumping down the stairs, I tried to sit in the back corner as quietly as I could. But before long they found my hiding spot and started trying to get all the money and valuables they could from me. All the punching and kicking they could muster did not persuade me to give them anything. So after a while they got frustrated and said duck it. One of them pulled out a gun and shot me like 5 times. The gun barely left a scratch, but one bullet did ricochet off and hit one, which scared them off. What can I say? I'm just that resilient. I was in Afghanistan, in a 7-ton. We got ambushed. My truck was hit by RPG fire. I was ejected from the vehicle, and when I went to pull my battle buddy from the truck, it got peppered by small arms fire. One shot ended up catching my left side, ricocheting off a rib, and up out my left pec. That sudden burning as the round lodged in the wrong side of my sappy plate will always stick with me. Cold not make a fist. Cold not pull anything. Hard to breathe and shoot. I was shot when I was 12ish, but did not know that it had happened. I grew up in Montana and we lived in a somewhat rural area. A few black spots started to grow on my arm, and I thought I had developed some awful skin cancer. So I did think I was going to die until the drive cut these corroded old buck out of my arm and told me that he'd been shot by a shotgun. Turns out the neighbor would go out with his shotgun to get rid of gophers on his property. It was far enough away to really lose velocity, but still strong enough to get in my arm. That and a somewhat high pain tolerance made it more or less unnoticeable. I had an x-ray at some point and there's still plenty of shrapnel left there, but not worth the damage of pulling it out. I got shot in the arm while in service patrolling in Iraq. Basically, hurts like hell. It feels like knives are cutting inside where the gash bleeds the most. It does numb out eventually though. For me it did. I had thoughts of death floating in my head, but as a soldier I had to stay cool, or I would have a harder time recovering. Whoa, hey, take it easy, it is the end of the video. Do not worry, there are many more. Come aboard the ship for more trips. Like and subscribe for more posts from the Reddit Sea Cove. Thanks for watching.